Good morning, everyone. I pray that all is well with everyone. Today is Tuesday, June 9th, 2020, and we are going to be continuing with our potluck week. So, again, remember, potlucks are simply just concepts that the students bring to me, and we go over them in about 15-20 minutes. So, that's what a potluck is. So, please be sure that you send me your potluck topics in advance. Please make sure that you don't tell me during class because that will actually take away from the time that I want to teach everybody. And that way, that also gives me an opportunity to prepare those lessons for you all and give you all extra supplemental support, such as worksheets, videos, handouts, anything that would be beneficial. And I believe we have somebody else joining us. So as always, I want to just make sure that I acknowledge them. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, okay, that's nephew. All right. So everybody is here. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to spend this day on solving and graphing inequalities. I already picked out a couple of problems, and we're just going to walk through them, talk through them, have a discussion about it, and then that's going to be the end of class. That's just kind of what it's going to be. All right, so let's go ahead and get it cracking. All righty then. Okay, cool. All right, so I picked number 17 from the second sheet that I emailed everyone, and if you are watching this as a playback video, this particular worksheet is in one of those other videos as in the pinned comment section. To be honest, I cannot remember. So please make sure that you watch all of the solving and graphing inequality videos because that's where I have gotten this worksheet from, and it is a PDF link in the pinned comment section. I just can't tell you what video it is. All right. So what we have here, we have a lot going on. As you can see, it's a lot, but in actuality, it's really not that bad. So what I'm going to do is I am going to rewrite this whole entire problem. So that way you all can see the steps and what we are doing. All right, so we have 2 multiplied by 1 minus r in parentheses is less than -2 times r plus 3 in parentheses minus 4. Now, again, I know it looks like it's a lot, but it's really not a lot because what we are dealing with is distributive property, which means we're probably going to have to divide. I'm sorry. We're going to probably have to do combining unlike terms and like terms and all that stuff. So it's really not that bad. All right, so the first thing I notice, of course, is the parentheses. So that lets me know that I have distributive property. Okay, so I'm going to multiply my 2 times 1, and then I'm going to multiply my 2 times -4r. All right, so we have 2 times 1, that gives me 2. And then we have 2 times -4r, that gives me -8r. So remember, this is just reinforcing multiplying like terms and unlike terms. And it's a video that I've already done on that. So if I find it and I remember it, I'll be sure to link it either up there at the end of the video. All right. So now, same thing. I have a -2. Now remember, the number takes the sign. So I have a -2 times of r, and then I have -2 times a +3. So I have -2 times r, that gives me -2r. Okay, and we have someone that just joined us. So as always, I want to acknowledge. Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Anthony.
Good morning, Miss Philomena. How are you?
I'm good. Are you?
I'm well, thank you. We are continuing with solving and graphing inequalities, and I'm actually going over number 17 on the worksheet that I gave you all a while back. So you can go ahead and put your pretty little self on mute. And as always, if you all have any questions, just unmute yourselves and ask me the questions. Okay. Now, if you're watching this as a playback, leave your questions in the comment section. All right. So we have -2 times r, which gives me -2r. And then I have -2 multiplied by this +3, which gives me -6. Okay, and that's going to be, and I'm just going to bring down the -4. Okay, now who can tell me if I have any do I combine any like terms, or do I have any like terms, and if so, where are they?
The -8r and then -2r.
Okay, now I can go ahead and do that, but before I do that, I notice this. Okay, so I'm definitely going to do something with this, that the -2r and the 8r. I'm going to do something with that, but before I do something with that, I need to condense these terms. Now again, remember, -6 -4. That lets you know automatically, ooh, I have to do subtracting integers. So as always, we got our keep, change, change, or keep, change, opposite, whichever one, rule. So when I do this, and that's a parenthesis, by the way. All right, so my answer here is going to be -10. Okay, so that's -10 is my answer. So now, just going to rewrite this real quick. All right. All right. So now what I am going to do, I'm going to do what y'all just told me, which is correct. I am going to do something with this -8r and this -2r. Now, let me say this. Again, Ms. Hampton is a creature of habit, meaning I was trained, if you will, to put my variables on the left side. However, in this particular instance, I'm going to go against the grain, meaning that I'm going to, instead of me adding 2r to my left side, I'm going to add 8r to my right side. And there's a reason for it, so stay with me. Now, when I do this, I know that those things are going to cancel out, which is what I want. And so I'm going to be left with 2 is less than. Now, we have -2 plus 8, which is the same thing as saying 8 minus 2, which gives me 6. 6r minus 10. Now, again, there's a reason why I did that. And once I finish this problem, then I'll explain why I did that. And hopefully it'll make sense. So now that I have my variable or my term on one side, that means I need to move my number over here to the left. So the way that I do that, of course, is by adding 10. Do, 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 do. Ooh, ooh. All right. So we have 12 is less than, and I'm going to bring down my 6r. Now, when I do this, the goal, of course, is to have my variable by itself. So that means I must divide both sides by 6. And my final answer is going to be 2 is less than r. All right. So before we get to graphing and before we do any of that, I want to explain to you why, instead of me adding a negative 2r um, to my, I'm sorry, to this side, I went ahead and added 8r. The reason why I did that is because I would have ended up with a negative, um, basically a negative variable. And we can't have negative variables. So instead of me going through an extra step, I went ahead and I wanted to make my term positive. Okay. So this is what I'll do. And hopefully this will make sense. Okay. So now I'm going in red and I'm going to rewrite this problem here. Ooh. So all right. Let me move you out the way. All right. So I could have went ahead and added 2r. I could have done that. And you can too. But this is just going to constitute as an extra step. So you want to make sure that you try to find the easiest way for you to do certain things, because your math test is timed. And so you want to try to learn as many shortcuts and, things like that as possible. Okay. Now, I'm going to, okay. Now I'm going to subtract 2. That's going to give me 6r. Now again, because now on this side I have a negative number, that means my sign would have been flipped. And if you don't want to deal with that, you don't have to deal with that. In some cases, you may not have a choice but to deal with that. But again, I'm just showing you that there's another way that you could have solved this problem. The answer, you still get the same answer, which is this. Now, 2 is less than r. R is greater than 2. They are the same thing, because R is going to be the bigger number, because that's where the little mouth opening shark, salamander, I don't know what y'all called it back in the day. That's where the mouth is opening. Okay. So again, in the blue, I moved my 8R to this side, to the right side, because I wanted my answer to automatically be positive. In the red, because I divided by a -6, I had to flip my sign. So there actually would have been an extra step that you necessarily don't need to do. So hopefully that made sense. And if it did not, please let me know. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, well, no news is good news to me. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph, either one, you can graph either one, but I'm going to graph 2 is less than R. So because I have a because I have a less than sign, that means I'm going to have an open circle over the number 2. That is letting me know that 2 is not a part of the solution to this particular inequality. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a number off the number line. And let's go with 3. Why not? So of course I'm going to say, is 2 less than 3? That is a true statement. And I'll go ahead and write it out in blue so that way you can see it. This is a true statement. 2 is less than 3. That is correct. So that lets me know that any number to the right of 2 would suffice as a solution for that particular inequality. So I can have 4.9. I can have 6 3/7. I can have 15.99999. All of those numbers and decimals and fractions would suffice as this answer, or for this answer, rather. All right. So let's just say, for instance, again, you really wasn't sure and you picked another number. So we'll pick 0. 0 is not less than 2. So because 0 is not less than 2, that means any number to the left of 2 would not be a solution. So I'm going to put an X. So that lets you know that these are not solutions. Okay? We only want numbers to the right of 2. Okay, so how do we feel so far about number 17? Did number 17 make sense? Was number 17 easy for you? Give me some feedback while I drink this body armor.
No, it wasn't
No, it wasn't. What, Mr. McFadden?
easy.
Okay. Well, let's have a discussion about it. What made it difficult for you?
It just remembering the rules and steps to everything. That's that's pretty much what my problem is.
Okay. So again, I just want to, encourage you, and thank you for sharing. I would just want you to know, and I want to encourage you that these types of things you have to build on top of what you already know. So of course it does take time, and it takes a lot of practice to really get these things, down pat. So as I always do, I want to encourage you, again, take you about maybe 30 minutes just to redo some of these problems. And if you have to go back to two-step equations and multi-step equations, if that's what you have to do, then by all means I encourage you to do so. Because I'm following the same steps as I would if this sign was an equal sign. Again, the only difference in the steps is just the sign. I'm doing everything else the same. Okay, so again, I just want to, encourage you all, anybody that's here and watching the playback as well. I do have a freebie Friday video on one-step equations and two-step equations and multi-step equations. I broke it down into two parts. So part one is one-step equations. Part two is two-step and multi-step equations. So again, making sure that you know how to solve an equation, because you're going to follow the same steps in solving inequalities. The other difference is that you have to graph inequalities versus you necessarily don't have to graph an equation, because you don't need to do that. Okay, so
Excuse me, Miss Hampton.
yes, Miss Philomena.
Will the graphing be the same? R greater than 2 and 2 less than R.
Yes, it will be the same.
The graphing?
Yes.
Alright.
Okay, so let me see. And that was a good question. Thank you for that question. So I'm going to go back over here to the red. So over here at the red, I have R is greater than 2. So if I were to substitute again the number 3, 3 is greater than 2. So my graph would still be the same, going in the same direction. The numbers that satisfy that inequality will go to the right of 2.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. No problem. Ooh, I didn't even see that. Get rid of that line. Okay. Okay. So are there any other questions as it relates to number 17? Well,
No, ma'am.
all right. Well, you know me, no news is good news. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep it pushing to number 18. Now I want to say I did number 18 yesterday. That's what I really want to say. But I don't think I did. But if I did, you're getting it again. Okay. Um, Let me go back to my color blue. You know, that's my color right there. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm just simply going to rewrite this equation so that way, well, so that way you can see it. Well, as I'm rewriting it, I want you all to think about what reinforcements, and when I say reinforcements, I mean, what are some of the things that you see that we've already gone over that you would need to do in order to solve this particular problem?
Combine like terms.
Yep, combine like terms, and what else?
Distributive properties.
And distributive property. Excellent, excellent. So those are the things that you have to look for when you are working these kind of problems. Okay. So as always, we're going to go through this step by step, and so that way you all can see what is happening. Okay, so with distributive property, I'm going to multiply this -6 times whatever's in this parentheses, and then I have a +6 over here, and I'm going to multiply it by whatever is within these parentheses. So when I do this, I have -6 times 1, and that gives me a -6. This is also reinforcing integers. I know y'all probably tired of me saying it, but it's just the truth. So integers, making sure that you are on top of your integers. Okay. And then we have -6 times 2x, and that gives me a -12x. Now, how I would read this would just simply be -6 minus 12x. But if the question was asked what numbers are negative, 6 is negative and 12 are negative because the number takes the sign. Okay. And then we have greater than or equal to 6 times 2x. That gives me a positive. Yep, positive 12x. And then I have I have a +6 times a -1. That gives me a -6. Now, let me go ahead and make this very clear. You are not going to multiply this 6 times this 2x. The reason why, huh?
You just bring it down.
Yep, you are going to bring it down, but a lot of people would multiply everything, and you're not supposed to do that. When you're dealing with distributed property, you only multiply what's inside of the parentheses. Because this particular 2x is not, I am going to do what Robert said, which is to bring it down. So do not make that mistake. Don't be that guy or girl that does that, okay? I don't want that for you. All right. Now, Robert mentioned combining like terms, and he is absolutely emphatically correct. So I have 12x and I have 2x over here. So when I combine those, 12 plus 2 gives me what?
14.
14. That's it. All right. I'm just going to put that -6 right there. Now, the next thing I have to do, I need to decide, and I kind of need to determine what I want to do. It's kind of what I need to do.
Divide 14 on both sides.
You said divide 14? I just want to make sure I heard you. Did you say divide 14? Okay. I'm going to divide, but it's not going to be just yet. And I can do something with this 14. So in good nature, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 14. I'm going to divide, but not just yet. All right. So when I do that, I know that cancels out. And that leaves me with -6 minus 26x. Now, don't be intimidated by the big numbers. We don't care about how big the numbers are. Now, I have one more step before I actually have to divide. So now I'm going to add 6 to both sides. And I'm adding this 6 over here because I have my variable on my left side. So of course, when I do that, because really, because -6 plus 6 gives me this 0. Now I'm going to divide. So Robert, I want you to tell me, what am I going to divide by?
26.
Mm-hmm. Y'all got to try one of these. If you have not, they are at your local neighborhood Quick Trip. These things are the bomb. No, I'm not. They're not a paid sponsor. I just like them. All right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to divide by -26. Now, because I'm dividing by a negative number, what does that mean for my sign?
It's going to change.
It's going to flip. That's it. So now I have x. Instead of x being greater than or equal to, that answer is 0, is now going to be less than
Equal to.
or equal to 0. Okay? Now, let me also say this very quickly. It is okay for you to have a 0 as your top number. It's not okay for 0 to be at the bottom. Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, this is easy. This is real easy because we're dealing with 0, and anytime you deal with 0, it's just simple. So this is what I'm going to graph. So Robert, I want you to pick a number off the number line for me. Any number. I don't care.
7.
Well, 7 is not on there, but I'll take it. All right. So 7. Is that true? Is 7 less than or equal to 0?
No.
No.
No. So even though we don't see 7 on our number line,
It's a
we
closed
ought to,
circle
well, it is a closed circle, but where is it?
on top of the 3.
Not the 3.
-3.
No, okay, so remember, my answer is x is less than or equal to 0. So my closed circle is going to be above the 0. Now, again, because we just established that this is not, where's my cursor? This is not a true statement. 7 is not less than or equal to 0. So that lets me know any number to the right of 0 will not be a solution. It won't be an answer. Okay, so that lets me know that any number to the left of 0. And I'm getting ready to prove that right now. I am going to pick -2. -2 is less than or equal to 0. So because that is a true statement, that lets me know that any number to the left of 0 will suffice as a solution to that inequality. All right.
Excuse me, Miss Han.
Yes, Miss Philomena.
Please, can you explain one more time 14 and -14?
Okay.
Number.
Okay. All right. So when I came here, I have a positive 14. So because this 14 is positive, in order for me to move my 14 to the left, I have to subtract 14 on both sides.
No, I mean, how did you get the 14?
How did I get 14? Oh, 12x plus 2x is 14x. These are like terms. So I had to combine my like terms here. 12x plus 2x, 14x. Okay, so do you see how we came up with 14?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Excellent, excellent. You all are doing a wonderful job. Okay, and please keep the questions coming. All right, so before we move on to number 20, I'm sorry, yeah, number 20 and 22, because they kind of go together. Do I have any questions about number 18? How do we feel so far? Do we feel okay? Is this like Miss Hampton? I need a vacation from this stuff. Talk to me.
It's okay.
Okay, I like that. All right, anyone else? Give me some feedback.
Need a vacation from this stuff.
Well, okay, that's fair. Woo, I need a vacation too. But please, as always, you want to make sure that you give yourself some space. You don't want to overwork or overwhelm yourself with this, with anything in life. So if you find that you're getting frustrated or if it's just not clicking, it is okay to take a day off or two, but not 12. Don't do that. It's okay to take a couple of, days off to rejuvenate your mind. So as always, I just want to encourage you, don't overwork yourself and don't overthink. Because that's my job. That's what I do. Be better than Miss Hampton. All right. So now, oh, okay. Let me get rid of you. All right. So now we are at number 20, and number 22 goes with this particular problem. So that's the reason why I put them both together. Now, again, don't be intimidated by how long this thing is. The goal is for us to shrink it down as possible. That's the goal. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite. All right. Oop. Oop. Okay. All right. So we got some things going on over here, but they're really not that bad. So of course, huh? What was that? What'd you say?
X minus. You gave me
Yeah, I can hear you, but you was like muffled. What? Say that again.
for 5 times x minus the parentheses of x plus 2. Is that the same way of saying like a number times x by like saying 5 times a number that's in front of the variable?
Oh, okay. So what? So you think we're gonna do distributive property right here? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Robert. I really appreciate that. No, we're not going to do distributive property here. I'm going to tell you why. Because 5x is on this further side, and there's technically nothing here. Now, if you want to put a 1 right there, you can. But just keep in mind that anytime, and I'm going to delete that, but anytime that you see something like this, distributive property, you wouldn't multiply this 5x times what's in the parentheses because we have a sign right there in the middle. But what I will do,
Okay.
but no, what I will do is this. I am going to get rid of the parentheses simply because I'm going to put a 1 in front of that. So when we multiply negative times a positive, that gives us a negative. So I have a negative x. And then negative 1 times a positive 2, that gives me a negative 2. Okay, so again, making sure that you do not make the mistake of multiplying this 5x times anything right there. You don't want to be that guy or girl.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Now I do have distributive property over here. Okay. So when I do that, I have negative 5 times 1, and that gives me a negative 5. When I have negative 5 times a positive x, that gives me a negative 5x. And again, I'm just simply going to bring down my plus 3 because it's just there all alone. Now, my next step, now that I've gotten rid of the parentheses, my next step is to simply see, okay, do I have any like terms that I need to combine? Of course you do. What is 5 minus 1?
4.
Okay. Do, 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 do. What is negative 5 plus 3?
Positive 8.
Not positive 8.
Negative.
-2.
Yep, negative 2.
Yeah, my bad.
Oh, you good? I just appreciate the participation. All right, so now what I have is I am going to go ahead and bring down this negative 5x. Isn't that right? Yes, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so I'm going to bring down this negative 5x, and that's going to be minus 2. All right. This is definitely going to be an easy problem.
A -7.
You said, where did you get negative 7 from, Mr. McFadden?
The -5x -2.
These are unlike terms. So I
Oh,
can't,
okay.
so remember, I can't subtract unlike terms. Now, if this had an X right there, then you would have been technically right. But because that's not the case, hey, really? Okay. Because that's not the case, I have to move some things around. So again, Miss Hampton is a creature of habit. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to add 5x to both sides. Okay. Now, I know that cancels out. And when I do that, that's going to give me 9x minus 2. And that's going to be greater than negative 2 because that's what I have left over, negative 2. What do I do next?
Add by 2 on
Right
both
side.
sides.
Yep,
My
I'm
bad.
going.
Divide.
No. You're right. You're going to add 2 to both sides. Now,
Okay.
this is the thing. I do not want you doing this. You're not going to add this 2 to this side. You're going to add this 2 to this side. Again, the reason why you're going to do that is because you have your variable already on the left side and you want your number to be on the right. Okay? So, just so that we're clear, let me change colors real quick. Matter of fact, let me erase you. All right. Now, if you were to add this 2 to this side, we know that that cancels out and then that cancels out. Okay. Now, you do not want to do that. You kind of got lucky with it being this way, but you do not want to do that to all the problems because all the problems are not going to yield you the same answer. Okay. So, excuse me, to be on the safe side, I am simply going to go back to blue and I'm going to add this 2. to this side. All right. So that is going to cancel out. That's what I want. And then I ran out of space. So now I have 9x. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 9. And that is my final answer. Now, again, you want to make sure that you're adding or subtracting the right numbers. In this particular instance, what you see in the red, you kind of got lucky, but it's not always going to be that way for you. So you want to err on the side of caution. And if your variable is already on your left side, you want to go ahead and move your number to the right side, and vice versa. If your variable was on the right hand side, then you want to move your number to the left. But either way, the goal is for you to have a letter with a sign in the middle with another number. That's what you want. All right. So I am now, whoops, okay. Now I'm going to graph this. So that's my answer. And I'm going to pick a number from the number line. But I have an open circle. That's the first thing I want to do. I have an open circle. I just need to know which way the line goes. So I'm going to pick -3. Okay. Is -3 greater than 0? Is that true?
No.
Nope, it is not true. So because that's not true, we're going to give that a sad face. So that lets me know that any number to the left of 0 will not be a solution. So there's only one way for me to go, and that's to the right. Okay. Bloop, 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 bloop. And as always, 0 would not be a part of my solution because 0 will never ever be greater than 0. Now, if I had the line under there, then that would change and my circle would change. But because I don't have that, this is my answer as far as graphing. Now, number 22 says, name one particular solution to question 20. That's the reason why I put it up there, so we can see the connection. I can pick 1. I can pick 1.5. I can pick 4,675,000, blah, 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 blah. I could pick any number that is to the right of 0. And that would answer question number 22. So for example, I could say 5.7 is a solution. I could say 13/2, which is 6.5. I can also say, I don't know.
1/2.
Yeah, I could say 1/2. I could say 1/2. I could say 14 3/7. So again, any number that's to the right of 0 would be a solution for question 20. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, clearly I totally went over my 30 minutes like I thought I was going to do. But I'm kind of glad that we did get an opportunity to go over these particular problems because, again, I can understand how these problems can look intimidating. But once you recognize what you have and once you recognize how to work them, then they'll be real simple. It'll be real easy. Okay, so I want you all to go ahead and finish, if you have not done so already, I want you to finish the second page of this particular worksheet. Okay, and on Wednesday and Thursday, it's still going to be a potluck day. So please make sure that you text me, email me, let me know something about a particular topic that you would like for me to cover for the next 2 days. And it can be anything. It can be something that we've already gone over. It can be something, like when Miss Hampton, I got a question about, I don't know, something that I think may be on the test. Is it, but please let me know in advance, preferably today, so that way I can have an opportunity to get the information together to prepare potluck lessons for you all. And of course, making sure that I have the supplemental resources, websites, worksheets, any extra videos that could potentially help with your potluck concept. Okay. So tell me, how do you all feel about today's potluck lesson?
It was great.
Okay. Happy to hear that. Real happy to hear that. Okay. Anybody else would like to give me some feedback on today's lesson?
Still haven't, still haven't got it all the way down packed, but I'm getting there.
Okay. Remember, nothing beats a failure than a try. So all I'm asking you to do is try. That's all I want you to do. Just try your best. And again, if you find yourself getting frustrated, you find yourself like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this. Take a break, take a 5-minute break, listen to some music, take a nap if you need to, but do whatever it is you have to do to rejuvenate your mind. So that way, you can jump back into it with a fresh mind and some fresh eyes as well. Okay. So again, thank you all so very much for joining me, and for the people that's watching the playback, thank you. Please make sure that you like this video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, because this is definitely the time where we want to make sure that we are taking advantage of the resources that are being presented to us, and taking the time out to make sure that we are doing what we got to do for studying purposes. Okay. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. Anybody else got any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up and put a bow on it?
No, man.
All right. Well, again, y'all make sure that y'all finish that second sheet for the inequalities. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. I'm not going anywhere. But just reach out to me, let me know, and I'll be of an assistance to you all. But please make sure that you watch the videos, past videos on solving inequalities, because that's definitely, I think, going to help with making sure that it sticks for you. All right. So again, Miss Hampton loves each and every one of you. There is absolutely, emphatically nothing you can do about it. Make sure that you send in your request for potluck this week. And until Wednesday, bye. Have a wonderful and great Tuesday.